Hey, it's been a while, but we are going to talk about YMAX, stock ticker YMAX, and where it could go into the future. Now, I've been tracking YMAX for quite a while, and I have ignored it for the past month and a half via YouTube videos, right? But here we are on the weekly chart using TradingView on YMAX. And we last left ourselves in June, right? Uh, this yellow box in June, and how I thought the price action would happen. Anyway, uh, the highest I thought YMAX would go would be around 1441, and the lowest I thought it would go during this time would be 1246. Well, we can see in history, I moved this yellow box forward, and this is where I thought action would happen, and everything is lining up perfectly to previous price action. Like everything's like a mirror of what it did before, just in the future, if you can catch my drift. So, of course, let me highlight here, right? The box, right? So we got our move up to the top of the regression channel. Well, we got our move up, but it wasn't as great as it was in previous times, right? Which is fine. All right, but now we got this big old red candle, right? Which represents some sort of this area right here, okay? So let me undo all those things. So this candle right here represents this candle right here, right? Okay. So now in the future, I could see YMAX hitting 1246 sooner than it would be hitting 1441. Now, it's doing great. We are doing great with YMAX. Here is my position. I keep track of everything I do with YMAX. So let's fast forward to today, August 1st. Introducing timelines. Got it. Okay. Or around August 1st, right? So the current price for YMAX is around 13.14. I didn't update 13.14. Right, there we go. The previous dividend was 1646. I now own 1,323 shares. My cost average is 16.96. The dividend I received this week was $217. My total dividends to date is $9,236. I bought 16 shares as a result of this week's dividend. I bought these shares at 13.66. My dividend share average is 15.33. So I have essentially invested my entire dividend into YMAX, and what I think when I get to 15K, which will be around my initial investment dividend, it'll be around April of 2026. So next year in the springtime, I will have hit my initial investment and dividend reinvestment a little bit sooner, because I didn't. Right now it's tracking just 0 shares bought, but as the weeks go by, you can see my $200 investment dividend I reinvested into my dividend. So after I hit 15K, okay, I think my new strategy will be 1 week on, 1 week off. So when I buy YMAX, I'm going to take 1 week off and just keep that money in my account as cash. I could use that money as I wish, but once I hit the 15K mark, my initial investment, I'm going to go every other week. So it'd be like 16, 0, 15, 0, 15, 0, something like that. I'm not going to go over the amount and spend my last week's dividend. I'm going to keep it relatively the same to where I'm spending my dividend gain that week on shares in the coming future. Now, this does multiple things. This increases your dividend, and it increases the money on hand that you can spend freely in the future. Now, this is a long-term play. I didn't do this for instant gratification, right? So now, after I hit 15K, it's going to be a long-term play to where I keep increasing the dividend payout while starting to recuperate without selling my shares, my initial investment. So it will take another 2 years, give or take, to get my initial investment in cash. So I will be sitting on 15,000 cash and shares in YMAX eventually. It's a long-term thing. It doesn't happen overnight. Now, so yeah, that's the plan at least. So, but what else do I want to talk about? The major stocks in the YMAX, Netflix, Meta, Microsoft, MSTR, Strategy, I guess I should say, Tesla, Coin, Amazon, Apple, and my little indicator on the weekly chart had called the bottom on Microsoft, and it called the bottom on AMD. So now I'm thinking we are ready for a sell-off on Microsoft and AMD. Specifically, these two stocks going into the future. Just because of the look at the weekly chart. It's nothing but green blue on my chart, but green candles for Microsoft with a big top wick. I think it's time we take a step back from Microsoft. I thought Microsoft might have returned to 420, retest, and then go higher, but it just kept going. So now there's going to be a new floor for Microsoft, slightly higher, from what I see on the Stochastic and RSI with the Bollinger Band. So Tesla, I think is a sell, according to my indicator and the chart. 320 is a big level for Tesla recently. If we go to the 4-hour chart, I could probably show you what I'm seeing. I set up some triangles. We could see this first triangle in June. Detected this 320 level, turned into a giant triangle, which also includes this 320, 318 level. And if you were to create another triangle within the triangle, we can see that we broke out of the bottom. So Tesla is definitely bearish. We could see a recovery back into the triangle, right? And maybe a retest of 320 in the future. We can tie that in with the stochastic meter and how we have the green colored with the stochastics at the bottom. They could roll over and go back up, which would include a price action back to the upside, right? it's very simple to use this indicator. Uh, Netflix, I don't know what they're doing. They're starting to get divergences. So we'll talk about a quick divergence with Netflix. Netflix, we have a lower price with a higher stochastic, right? So that's a divergence. So we can probably see a quick bounce on Netflix in the near future. Not a lot, just to fix the stochastic divergence. So another stochastic divergence on the SPY, we can actually see that. What was it? The SPY? Or no, it was the weekly chart US 500, which is the SPY. So we can see clear as day that we have a higher stocks high with a lower stochastic high. So here is a high, here is a higher stock high. Okay, where was the stochastics at this high? Right here. Where are the stochastics at this high? Right here. So that's a divergence. So you have to pay attention to these things. And we have a big gosh darn red candle with a big red signal on the weekly chart. So it's time to buckle down. August, September might be entirely selling. Just entirely selling. On the SPY to fix the stochastic meter and the price action. It's just simple. Where could we see it go? Well, the SPY. Oh, what we could see on the SPY with the box technology that I've created. You put a box around 2 weekly candles or 3 weekly candles, and you put that same box above and below, and you make a array. So what I see, especially on the 4-hour chart with the SPY, is that we're due for a bounce or sideways action. And the levels that I have on the SPY are around 616, 618, 620. So I could see the SPY going slightly lower to 616 and go sideways and or bounce maybe to the max of 630 or even 620. So if the SPY goes down even further, we can expect 620 to be the new resistance, right? And then 616 to be some sort of support. So we might see some consolidation in the near August future, followed by more selling, okay, into 604. We can see 604, what other targets? 599 and 598 in the future. If 616 fails, where would that put YMAX? Well, of course, that would put YMAX way down here at the 1246 level, which is what I am expecting in the future. Not tomorrow, not next week. It's going to be an extended play, right? Because this is a long-term thing. Instead of trading options daily, I just buy YMAX and they trade, and then I get paid the dividend. So if we go to Bitcoin, even Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart, we can see the stochastic meter is way down here. When was the last time it was way down here? Right? When was the last time? We can see that it was a bounce, right? We can see it was a bounce, right? We can see it was a bounce, right? So Bitcoin might get a bounce in the near future. The SPY on the 4-hour chart can get a bounce in the near future. I think it's going to retest at least 630. If not, yeah, which lines up with these recent highs, right? Right. So, and then fail and back into consolidation, and then fail into 604 into the future, because everything's negative now. I know that there should be a bounce because the RSI is outside of the Bollinger Band, but that does not mean we reach new highs into the going into the future. So, uh, all these good things. So stochastics, if they're at the top, expect it to sell off. If they're at the bottom, expect it to buy. Right. So Amazon, even though it sold off really heavily, they are due for sideways action, consolidation, perhaps even a bounce into these lows of 223, right? And then a rejection off of 223. So there should stocks in the near future, I think, are going to do a quick bounce followed by a little consolidation, rejection of previous support into more downside, which will bring YMAX down. So not even though we had a big downfall, it's still very negative news going into the future. I don't temporary bounce into more failure. So temporary bounce into more failure. Back into these 1246 levels. And then I expect at least a consolidation around 1246. Okay? All right, stay vigilant. I'm still invested into YMAX. I have a shit ton of shares. I'm making a lot of money per week. If I sold everything today, I would make $3,000 since June 2024. And of course, if you invested in the SPY, you would have to sell. You would have to sell the SPY. Where is it? 2,268. So I am currently beating this SPY by $800. Does that make sense? Probably not, but okay. Sorry for the long video. Have a good day.